Hi guys, welcome to another video, and this is for Functional Skills Maths Level 2, Speed and Using Formulae. So as always, if you're part of my class, you can download these notes from Google Classroom, or if you're not part of my class, you can download them from the link below. Let's go straight into it. So hopefully by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to use ratio or the speed formula to solve speed problems. So I'll show you both methods. And you know, some people do like the speed formula, some people like the using ratios. So I think it's a good idea to show you both. Substitute values into a formula to solve problems, and rearrange formulae and solve problems as well. Let's have a look at speed first though. So using the speed formula, hopefully you know, you might have seen this triangle before, and this is what I use usually to work out either speed, distance or time. In the question they'll give you two of these. You'll have to work out the third one. The triangle is quite useful because it tells you which order you're doing it in, and also whether you're multiplying or dividing as well, which I'll show you in an example in a minute. Or you can use ratio in speed questions as well. Speed can be written in the ratio distance to time, you know, because that's what speed is. For example, if your, let's say, distance to time is 20 kilometers in 4 hours, and they're asking what the speed is, you want it per hour or per 1 hour, for example. So to get from 4 to 1 hours, you'll have to divide by 4 on this right hand side. So you'll have to divide by 4 on this left hand side as well, as it's proportional. So in 1 hour, it will equal 5 kilometers, which literally means 5 kilometers per hour. Or you could have an example where they're saying that the speed is 16 kilometers per hour. So that would mean 16 kilometers in 1 hour. What would it be in 20 minutes, for example? So you'd say 16 kilometers is the same as 1 hour, and that's the same as 60 minutes. And to get from 60 minutes to 20 minutes, you'd have to divide by 3 on this right hand side. So do the same on the left hand side as well. 16 divided by 3 is 5.33 kilometers. So that'll be your answer. Or in another example, maybe they said that the speed is 40 meters per second. That's literally what that means. Yeah, so you put 40 meters for distance, 1 second for time. And they're asking how many seconds would it be for 200 meters. So to get from 40 meters to 200 meters, you'd have to times by 5. And then you'd have to times the right hand side by 5 as well. So in 200 meters, that would equal 5 seconds. So yeah, whether you prefer the triangle or the ratio method makes no difference really. You know, everyone's different, everyone works differently, everyone thinks differently. So you know, whichever you prefer. I'm going to show you both for these examples, and you guys can decide which one you prefer. And it's the same, you know, in the exams as well. It doesn't matter which working out that you use, you're still going to get the full marks as long as your answer is correct, obviously, and your working out makes sense. So let's have a look at this first one. Pigeon flies for 7 hours at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour. Calculate how far the pigeon flies. 2 marks. And obviously we need the distance, isn't it? In kilometers, because it's asking how far. So distance is definitely missing. That's what they're asking for. What information have they told us? Well, they said that the time is 7 hours. And the speed is 70 kilometers per hour. So that goes there. Yeah, so I always do this. I always do like a summary of what I've got and what's missing. Let's do the triangle then. So I'm going to do the speed triangle. Okay, and from left to right, you have to do it in the correct order as well. Otherwise, you'll get your answer wrong as well. From left to right, what I say is sausages don't talk. So I know it's a little bit silly, but you know, these little silly little things help me remember as well. So from left to right, sausages don't talk. And if you don't remember sausages don't talk, then I get these questions wrong. So you're trying to work out the d, or the distance in this case, which is that one. So I'll cross that one out. So you can see that the s and the t are side by side. So therefore, you're going to be multiplying s with a t. So d equals speed times time. So speed was 70 times by the t, which was 7. That's going to give you 490, and that's going to be in kilometers, because in the speed they were using kilometers per hour, so the distance is going to be the same as well, same units. So there's your answer, 490 kilometers. Let me try it the other way. Let me try it with a ratio. So I'm going to split the page. So as a ratio, again, I would write all this information first. So we don't know what d is. T is 7 hours. And s is 70 kilometers per hour. So if we're told that the speed is 70 kilometers per hour, I'm going to write that as in terms of distance to time. So that literally means 70 kilometers in 1 hour. Yep. We're told that the pigeon flies for 7 hours, so 7 hours goes underneath this one, where it says time. So how do you get from 1 to 7? You have to times by 7. So you'll have to multiply this side by 7 as well, as it's proportional. And 7 times 70 is 490. And there's your answer. 490 kilometers is going to be your answer. So 2 different methods, but same answer. You know, whichever way you prefer is absolutely fine. Yep. Let's have a look at the next example. Example 1b, Stuart drives 180 kilometers in 2 hours 15 minutes. Work out Stuart's average speed. You can see the dotted line here. They want the speed in kilometers per hour. Total 3 marks. So let's write down what's missing and what we've got. Well, obviously speed is missing. That's what it's asking for. We've got the distance, 180 kilometers, and the time we're told is 2 hours 15 minutes. Okay, let's do the triangle. So I'll show you that method first. From left to right, sausages don't talk. So which order are we doing it in? We're trying to work out the speed, which is the s. So that's the one you cover up or cross out. So now you can see that the d is on top, t is at the bottom. So that means speed is going to be distance over time. Yep, so the triangle is quite useful. It does tell you which order you're doing it in, and also whether you're multiplying or dividing. And in this case, we're dividing d divided by t. So in this case, d is fine. D is okay, 180. Divided by, how I'm going to put 2 hours 15 here. So this is where a lot of people get mixed up or confused. I can't write 2 hours 15 here. It's not going to make sense, because I can't do 180 divided by 2 hours 15. I can't do that on the calculator. Notice that it's kilometers per hour. So you need your time in hours, just hours. So, and also if you change it to minutes, you know, and you put your whole minutes here, again, that's going to be wrong as well, because your answer will be kilometers per minute, which is not what it's asking for. You want kilometers per hour. So How do you change that to just hours? Well, what's this? What's 15 minutes in hours? Well, we know we've got 2 hours, so it's definitely 2 and something. And that something is, think of it this way, it's 15 minutes out of 60, which simplifies to 2 1/4, doesn't it? So it's 2 1/4 hours, or as a decimal, 2.25 hours. And again, don't assume it's going to be 2.15. Another very, very common mistake. A lot of people would put 2.15 as their hours. Remember, it's not the decimalization. It's out of 60, isn't it, for 15 minutes. So it's 2 1/4 hours, which is the same as 2.25. And that goes there. And when we type that in the calculator, these will be most likely in the calculate paper anyway. So 180 divided by 2.25. We get exactly 80 for our answer. So that's going to be 80 kilometers per hour. Yep, that goes there. Let me do it the other way. When you use a ratio. So same information. S we don't know. D is 180 kilometers. T definitely we're going to change again to 2.25 hours. So we know that D to T is 180 kilometers to 2.25. You want it for 1 hour. That goes there. So how do you get from this to this? You're going to have to divide by 2.25. So you're going to have to divide this side by 2.25 as well. Yep, and you get the same answer, 180 divided by 2.25, which is 80 kilometers per hour. Yep, for every hour it's 80 kilometers. You get the same answer. Yep, so it's the, again, 2 different ways of doing that. But it's recognizing that you can't use 2 hours 15 minutes. You have to change it to just hours. That's the tricky bit. Yep. So have a go of the next ones yourself. Pause the video. When you're ready, unpause it and we'll go through the answers. Let's have a go at these then. So practice question 1A, helicopter flies 240 miles in 2 hours 30 minutes. Calculate the average speed in miles per hour of the helicopter. 3 marks. Right, so what have we got? We've got the D. We've got time. And S is missing. Let's do the triangle. Sausages don't talk. Which order are we doing it in? So we're trying to work out the S. So S is D over T. Again, you're going to need your hours for time. So you're going to have to change time to just hours, isn't it? Because it's miles per hour. Yeah, so that's the same as 2.5 hours, which is 2.5 hours. Let's call it. So now we can do 240 divided by 2.5. Let's do that on the calculator. That's going to be exactly 96. That's going to be miles per hour. Yep, so that's your answer. Or if you did it with a ratio, let me split the page. If you did it as a ratio, you're told that 240 miles, that is 2.5 hours. You want it for 1 hour, or per hour. How do you get from that to that? You'll have to divide by 2.5 here, divide by 2.5 here. Yep, you get the same answer, 96 miles per hour. Practice question 1b. Daniel leaves his house at 7 o'clock in the morning. He drives 87 miles to work. He drives at an average speed of 36 miles per hour. At what time does Daniel arrive at work? Okay, so what have we got? We've got the distance, 87 miles. Speed, 36 miles per hour. And we're trying to work out the time. Let's do the triangle. Sausages don't talk. This time we're trying to work out the time, so let's cross out the time. So which order am I doing it in? So it's T equals D over S. And I don't need to change anything. My answer is going to be in just hours, because they're using hours for speed. So it's going to be 87 divided by 36. Let's type that in the calculator. As a decimal, oh, it looks really weird. Okay. Let me show you. On my calculator, it looks like this if I press SD. With the dot above the 6. It looks really, really strange, and I'm not going to give. Obviously, I'm not going to give. This is not my final answer, so I can't give this as my final answer anyway. But I can't use it as it is. You know, to add it to the 7 o'clock, it's not going to make sense. This is in hours only. Yes, think of it as 2 and a bit hours. What's that little bit going to be? Well, if you times it by 60, let's see what we get. Right. When you times by 60, you'll get 145, and that's going to be in minutes. Now it's a bit better. You know, now you can add that to the 7 o'clock. Or think of it as 2 hours. 2 hours is 120 minutes, isn't it? 2 hours, and what's the difference between 145 and 120? That's going to be 2 hours and 25 minutes, which is much, much better. So now we can add it to the 7 o'clock. So 0700 plus 2 hours 25 minutes. Which is going to be 0925. Yep, and there's your answer. I'd leave it in 24-hour clock. And that's your 3 marks right there. You could have used the ratio as well. Using the ratio, you would have done 36 miles equals 1 hour, and then go from there. Practice question 1c. Thomas drove from junction 2 to junction 3 on the road. Distance between the junctions is 12 miles and it takes 15 minutes. Hannah also drove from junction 2 to junction 3 on the same road. She drove at an average speed of 50 miles per hour. Who has the faster speed? Okay. Right, so we know Hannah's speed, that's fine. We need to work out Thomas's speed. Let's write Thomas here. And what do we know about Thomas? Well, the distance he drove was 12 miles. And time was 15 minutes. Yeah, speed we don't know. Let's use the triangle. From left to right, sausages don't talk. and we're trying to work out the speed. Let's cross that out. So which order are we doing that in? Speed equals distance over time. And again, I'm going to have to change the time, because if I use 15 as it is, that's going to give me miles per minute, which I don't want. I want miles per hour. So I'm going to, let's change the time to hours only here. So again, that's going to be 15 out of 60, which is the same as a quarter of an hour, or as a decimal, 0.25 hours. Yep, that's much better. So now let's use the 12 miles divided by 0.25. Let's type that in the calculator. And you should get 48. That's going to be miles per hour. Okay, and for Hannah, that's right, Hannah, her speed was, it says it in the question, she drove at an average speed of 50 miles per hour. So who has the faster speed? Well, now we can compare. So 50 is greater than 48, so Hannah has the fastest speed. Yep, there's your answer. And again, you could have used the ratio again. I'm just going to do it this way. If you were to use the ratio, you would write d to t for your ratio. D is 12 for every 15 minutes. Now we'll change the 15 minutes to 0.25 and go from 0.25 to 1 hour. It's the same method. You'd have to divide by 0.25. Yep, and you get 48 miles per hour for Thomas's speed. So yeah, same answer obviously. Let's move on to 1D. Edith leaves her home at 11:50 AM. She travels 75 miles at an average speed of 30 miles per hour. At what time does she finish the journey? Right, so distance is 75 miles. Speed is 30 miles per hour. Time, we don't know. Let's do the triangle. Sausages don't talk. And we're trying to work out the time, so cross that out. So which order am I doing it in? We're doing T equals D over S. So D is 75, S is 30. Yep, don't need to change anything. And let's do that in the calculator. 75 divided by 30 is 2.5. As a decimal, that's going to be in hours because they're using just hours. Okay, so she leaves her home at 11:50 AM. What time does she finish her journey? So we need to add it onto the 11:50 plus 2 hours. Let's call it 2 hours 30. In fact, let me just write that, 2 hours 30 minutes. Let's add it on here. Okay, and again, you could do it in stages. 2 hours will be 150, and adding 30 minutes will give you, in fact, let me do it in stages. 150 plus 30 minutes, which is 2, what's that going to be, plus 10 plus another 20, isn't it? 2:20 PM, obviously. You can write it like that. Or 2:20 p.m. Just make sure you, if you do it in this way, obviously you're gonna have to write the p.m. For the 24-hour clock. Obviously you don't need to write p.m. for that one. So either this or this as your answer. I'm gonna put that one in fact, 2:20 p.m. Yep, 3 marks for that one. Let's move on to 1E. Fiona drives for 4 hours. Her average speed is 25.5 miles per hour. How far does Fiona drive? So that's to do with distance, obviously, so we don't know what the distance is. We know that the T is 4 hours. Speed is 25.5 miles per hour. Yep, let's do the triangle. From left to right, sausages don't talk. You're trying to work out the D, which is that one. So we're doing, because they're side by side, that means you're multiplying. So we're doing S times by T. And you can just multiply these two together. So 25.5 times by 4. Let's do that on the calculator. 102 miles. Yep, there's your answer. I'm going to do it with the ratio for this one, because this is a pretty good one to show you guys. Let me do it as a ratio. So if you know that the speed is 25.5 miles per hour, that means distance to time is 25.5 for every hour. Yep. So that's going to be in miles, obviously. I didn't like that. We want it for 4 hours. How do you get from that to that? Times by 4. See, it's the same method, isn't it? Look, we times by 4 here as well. So exactly the same method, just written a little bit differently. And obviously you get the same answer. 102 miles. So yeah, you know what? The ratio method is very good as well. Me personally, I just use the triangle. I'm just used to using the triangle all the time, you know. But I know that a lot of people don't like the triangle. To be honest, whatever works for you, you know, as long as you get the right answer, doesn't really make a difference what other people think. If the triangle works for you, use that. If the ratio works for you, use that. You know, don't let other people dictate what you should and shouldn't do. Practice question 1F. Victoria walks 11 kilometers at a speed of 4 kilometers per hour. Calculate how long it takes Victoria. Give your answer in hours and minutes. Ooh, hours and minutes. Right, okay. So we know that the distance is 11 kilometers. Speed is 4 kilometers per hour. So obviously we want the time. That's missing. Let's do the triangle. Sausages don't talk. We're trying to work out the time, so let's cross that out. So which order are we doing that in? We're doing that in so we're doing D over S. Yeah. Do I need to change anything? No. Everything looks good for the moment. So 11 divided by 4. Let's do that in the calculator. That gives me 2.75 hours. And I know it's going to be hours because this was using hours. And now we need to change it because it's asking what's your answer in hours and minutes. And don't fall into that trap of thinking it's 2 hours and 75 minutes. It's not. How to change this? Let's times it by 60 first. So if it's still on your calculator, just times by 60. That equals 165, and that's going to be in just minutes. So we know it's going to be 2 hours anyway, because it was 2 point something. If you take away 2 hours away from that, we're left with 45 minutes. So it's a really good way of doing it. Change it to minutes first, whole minutes, by timesing by 60. And then you can work out what's it going to be in hours and minutes by taking away, if you know that 2 hours is 120 minutes, take away whatever you're left with, that's how many minutes you got left. So your answer is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. Perhaps question 1G. A village is 20 miles from Belfast. Connor drives from the village to Belfast at 40 miles per hour. Kelly drives from the village to Belfast at 50 miles per hour. Work out how much longer the journey takes Connor. Give your answer in minutes. Ooh, interesting. Right. So let's do them separately. So let's put Connor here. And let's write everything we know about Connor. So obviously the distance is going to be 20 miles. Okay. His speed is 40 miles per hour. We need to work out Connor's time. Same for Kelly. Let's put Kelly here. Distance 20 miles. Her speed 50 miles per hour. T we don't know. So let's work this out separately. Let's put the triangle here. Sausages don't talk. Obviously we're working out the time for both of them. Let's do Connor's first. So obviously T equals distance over speed. Yep, because that's the order it says. So it's 20 miles over 40 miles per hour. That's going to give you 0.5. That's going to be in hours. Okay, that's the same as 30 minutes. Yeah, if you're not sure, just times it by 60. But you should know that half an hour is 30 minutes. Let's do the same for Kelly. So for Kelly, D over S, which is 20 divided by 50. Let's do that on the calculator. And that's going to be 0.4. Again, I'm going to times that by 60 to get it in minutes. So that is 24 minutes. So the difference, or how much longer does Connor take? So the difference between 30 and 24 is obviously 6 minutes. Yep, and there's your answer. Takes 6 minutes longer. Yep, so just work them out separately. Should be more than it should be more than 3 marks, to be honest. I know a lot of my students would say that, but yeah, just work out step by step, and you could use the triangle, use ratio, whatever works for you. It makes no difference. One more, and then I'll show you formulae. Practice question 1H. Speed limit on a road is 50 miles per hour. A car drives 19 miles in 22 minutes. Is the car breaking the speed limit? Show why you think this. Ooh, right, so what do we know? There's a couple of ways you can do this. You could use the speed limit as your speed and do it that way. What I would do, I would write, let's see what we've got. I would work out the speed of I would try and work out the speed of the car. Let's do it that way. So for speed, we don't know. Distance is 19 miles. Time 22 minutes. But again, if you want miles per hour, I'm gonna have to change that to hours. So that is 22 out of 60. You could leave like that, in fact. Let me just type it on the calculator, see what I get. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna leave it as that. 22 over 60. Because it looks a bit weird as a decimal. Yep. Let's do the triangle. Sausages don't talk. And we're trying to work out the speed. Let's cross that out. So we're doing distance over time, which is 19. And you know what? I'm going to use the divide symbol, not the fraction button now. So I'm going to do 19 divided by all of this, which it'll be a lot easier to type in. So on my calculator, 19 divided by my previous answer, I get 51.81, and I got two dots. I got two recurring decimals after the decimal point, obviously. That's going to be in miles per hour. So yeah, speed limit is 50, so you can say 51.81 is greater than 50. So is the car breaking the speed limit? Yes. Yep, there's your answer. There's your proof. It's greater than 50 miles per hour, therefore it's over the speed limit. Yep, 3 marks for that. So that's speed done. There's a couple of exam style questions at the end of this booklet, so do have a go of those. I will definitely go through them at the end of this video as well, so feel free to stick around for that, or you can forward it. I'm going to show you substitution in formulae first. So I thought these topics go together, that's why I've done them together, you know, because obviously speed is a formula, and in functional skills level 2 you will get other formulas as well, and you need to know how to substitute and also how to rearrange them as well, just in case if they give you a different value. Totally depends on what they say in the question, to be honest. So a formula, or the plural form is formulae, we shouldn't say formulas really, is a way of describing a rule or relationship. The words or symbols in formulae represent variable quantities. Level 2 questions involve making substitutions in given formulae in words and symbols. So hopefully with this example it'll make sense what all that means. So for example, DIY hire company uses the formula C equals 30N plus 50 to work out the cost, C pounds, of a customer using a machine for N days. Use the formula to work out the cost of using the machine for 10 days. So, sounds a bit confusing with all these letters and numbers, especially if you've never done algebra before, because this is what it is, basically. This is basic algebra. So I would always write the formula down that they've mentioned in the questions. They're saying C equals 30N plus 50. Yeah, and I've never seen this formula before. Yeah, it's the first time I'm using this. But if you follow the rules, this will always work. Okay, so the rules are, if it's side by side like this, so you got 30N, there's an invisible multiplication sign in between them, so that 30 is multiplying that N. So So let's have a go at this question. So C is the number of pounds of a customer using a machine for n number of days. So n is a number as well, could be any number. Use the formula to work out the cost of using the machine for 10 days. Right, so instead of n, we're going to put 10. So let's do that first. So all I'm going to do is replace the n with 10. Yep, and notice I put a multiplication sign as well. Still got that. So now, using BIDMAS, you're going to do multiplication first. So that comes first, doesn't it, in BIDMAS? So 30 times by 10, that is 300. And you still got the plus 50 as well. So there's only one thing left to do. 300 plus 50, which is 350. So your C, or the cost, is going to be 350. That's going to be in pounds. Don't forget the units. Yep. So this is what we call substitution, where you substitute in the values and you just work it out. You just use BIDMAS, so you should know, hopefully, BIDMAS from level 1. And it's just working it out step by step. Let's have a look at example 2. Formula to convert a temperature in Celsius C to a temperature in Fahrenheit F is F equal to 9 over 5 C plus 32. Use the formula to convert 45 degrees C to Fahrenheit equivalent, right? So again, I'm going to write the formula down. So F equals 9 over 5 C plus 32. Okay, so what we're going to change, what we're going to replace, use the formula to convert 45 degrees C. So that's your C. They said that Celsius is C. So instead of C, I'm going to put, again, if it's side by side, there's an invisible multiplication sign there. So we're going to replace the C with 45. Okay, you can use your calculators for this, or you can just work it out manually. So I'm going to do it manually. So 5, I'm going to divide diagonally here. So 5 goes into that once, 5 goes into that 9 times. And now there's only one step, well, 2 steps really. 9 times 9, that's going to be 81. And I've still got the plus 32, haven't touched that yet. And now there's only one step left. Add these two together, you should get your answer 113. Yep, that's going to be 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's try one more example, then I'll get you guys to practice. So example 3 says, formula to convert temperature in Fahrenheit F to the equivalent temperature in Celsius C is C equal to 5 over 9 brackets F minus 32. Use the formula to convert 59 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius equivalent. Right, so again, let's write this down. 5 over 9 F minus 32. Okay, so what we're replacing? Use a formula to convert 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's the F. And we're trying to work out what C is. Okay, so I'm going to replace the F. Okay, so we've still got this. Brackets. And then F is going to be replaced by 59. Yep. So that gives us C equals 5 over 9. And there's there's another invisible multiply sign. 59 take away 32, that gives us 27. Yep, and again, you can just stick that in your calculator now, should get your answer. I'm going to do it manually. So 9 goes into that once, 9 goes into that 3 times. So it's 5 times 3, which is 15. And that's going to be degrees C, yeah, because it was degrees C that we were trying to find. So have a go of these next practice questions. Pause the video, and when you're ready, just unpause it. Let's go through the answers then. So question 1, mobile phone company uses the formula C equals 12 plus 0.06 T to work out the charge C pounds for a customer who makes T minutes of phone calls in a month. Work out the charge in a month where a customer makes 500 minutes of phone calls. So again, I'm just going to write the formula down. C equals 12 plus 0.06 T. Yep, and you should know hopefully there is a invisible multiplication sign here. So now what we're going to replace, we're going to replace the T, which is the minutes. Yes, they said the minutes is 500. So C is what we're trying to work out. So C equals 12 plus 0.06 times T, which is now 500. Yeah. And if you've got those fancy scientific calculators, you can just type that all in one go and it'll do it for you. It does use BidMass. Or if you haven't got one of those fancy calculators, just do it in stages. Obviously, you're going to have to do the multiplication first and then add the 12. So I'm just gonna type it in one go. So your answer should be 42. So that's going to be answer in pounds. Yeah, so the cost is going to be £42. Well, let's move on to the next one. Question 2 says bank uses the formula I equals 0.04p to work out the interest I pounds when an amount P pounds is invested for 1 year. Work out the interest in a year when £250 is invested. Right, so I'll write it like this, equals 0.04p, and again there's going to be a invisible multiply sign there. So I equals 0.04 times, they said P is the amount invested, which is £250 in this case. Yep, so all we do is just one calculation. So I equals, let's do it on the calculator, 0.04 times 250, which is 10. Yep, so my answer is 10, which is the interest. Work out the interest. Just 10 on its own. There's no units for that. Yep. Let's move on. Question 3 says an electricity company uses the formula C equals 8.5 plus 0.064E to work out the charge C pounds to a customer in a month where E units of electricity were used. How much is a customer charged in a month where 600 units of electricity are used? Right, so again, let's write our formula that we're given. Yep, and again, there's going to be an invisible multiplication sign here. So we're going to replace E, which is the units of electricity. So we're told that there's 600 units of electricity. So instead of E, I'm going to put 600. Yep, and let's type this all in one go on scientific calculator. 8.5 plus 0.006 times 600. And as a decimal, you might need to press the SD button. 44.5. Yep, so my answer in pounds. £44.50, don't forget the 0. If it's in pounds. Question 4, the formula for calculating the area of a rectangle is A equals LW, where L is the length of a rectangle, W is the width. Calculate the area of a rectangle with length 12, width 4.5. So this is hopefully familiar to a lot of you. So obviously area is length times width. There's an invisible multiplication sign right there. It should hopefully should know that. So A equals length times the width. So area is, let's do that on the calculator, 12 times 4.5, that's 54. And you know what, I'm going to put the correct units, that's going to be centimetres squared. Yep, there's your answer. Question 5, a formula for converting centimetres I equals C is I equals C over 2.5. Oh, okay. Use the formula to convert 12.8 centimetres to inches. Right, so I'm assuming the I is the inches. They didn't say that, but obviously that's what it looks like. So I, which is the inches, equals C over 2.5. Okay, so there's my centimetres. So C is my centimetres. 12.8. So I is 12.8 divided by 2.5. Yep, let's stick that in the calculator. 12.8 divided by 2.5. 5.12. That's going to be inches. Okay. Question 6 says, the formula to calculate simple interest I when an amount of money P is invested at a rate R for a period of time T is I equals PRT over 100. Calculate the simple interest when £500 is invested for 3 years at a rate of 5%. So, you know, simple interest is a topic in level 2, but you know, if you've given the formula, I would use that. Yeah, don't just start using your own formula. Let's use the formula that they've given us. So I equals PRT over 100. Okay, so P is the invested, the amount of money invested, right? Which is 500. All of these are multiplying each other, by the way, so there's an invisible multiplication sign here and here. Yep. R is the rate, so that is 5%, so that's just 5. Yep, it's already out of 100, so I'm not going to put 5 over 100 for that. There, it's just 5 on its own. And T is the time, which is 3 years. Yep. That's all going to be divided by 100. So again, let's stick it in the calculator as it is. 500 times 5 times 3. I'm going to divide that by 100. You should get 75 for your answer. Yep, and that's going to be, calculate the simple interest when an amount of money. Yeah, it's going to be in pounds. So I would put pounds, I would put the pound symbol as well. Question 7, a formula that converts a temperature in Celsius C to the equivalent temperature in Fahrenheit F is this. Use the formula to convert 55C to Fahrenheit, right? Okay, so similar to what we've just seen before. There's going to be an invisible multiplication sign right here. Okay, so what we're replacing, the C, which is 55, that's there, and let's just stick it in the calculator. I'm going to use the fraction button. 9 over 5, move across, times 55, plus 32. And if you've done it correctly, you should get 131. Yeah, that's going to be degrees Fahrenheit. If you've not got that answer, you typed it in incorrectly. Just double check and you should get 131 for your answer. Right. This next section is to do with rearranging and solving equations. So we've just had a look at substitution, which is just straightforward, you know, just replace what they're saying and just work it out. Sometimes you'll be asked to solve equations where you might need to rearrange it first, yeah, before you can answer it. So let's have a look at this example. Use the equation 500 equal to 30n plus 50 to work out the number of days n that the customer hired the machine. Right, so again, let's write down the formula. So this time, we're not replacing anything. What they're asking is, what is n on its own? So you want n equal to something. So in this formula, this means 500 is equal to 30 times n, which is what we're trying to work out, plus 50. So, you know, if you've ever done basic algebra before, the way to work these out is, me personally, I just do the opposite of what it actually is. Okay, so I want n on its own. So I'm going to get rid of this plus 50. I don't want that plus 50 there on the same side as the n. Okay, so I'm going to write what I'm doing to these numbers. Okay, so I'm going to write underneath, I want to get rid of this plus 50. So the only way to get rid of it is by minusing 50 here. Yeah, so it's going to disappear. Okay, that's going to equal 0. So that's going to disappear. But if I minus 50 here on this side of the equal sign, I'll have to minus 50 here as well on the other side of the equal sign. Think of the equal sign as a balance. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other as well, to make it balanced. Let's see what that gives us. So obviously 500 take away 50, that's going to give me 450 equals, and you're just left with 30n on this side, because we haven't touched that. So now this is your new equation, so you can ignore the top line. This is your new equation. Now 450 equals 30n. Like we said, we don't want 30n, we just want n on its own. So how do you get n on its own? Well, what does this actually mean, 30n? That means 30 times by n. Yeah, there's an invisible multiply sign there. So again, to get rid of the 30, what's the opposite of multiplying by 30? That is divide by 30. So I'll have to divide by 30 here. And again, if I divide by 30 on this side of the equal sign, I'll have to divide by 30 on this side as well. Okay, so I'm going to get n on this side, which is what I want. And 450 divided by 30. How many 30s go into 450? That's exactly 15. Yep, so now this is our new equation, if you like. 15 equals n, or in other words, n equals 15. Yep, so you can write it the correct way now. So if 15 equals n, n equals 15, they both mean the same thing. Yep, you just want n on its own equal to something, whatever that something is your answer. So I know it's a bit weird, but hopefully you'll get used to it. Basically what I do is I just get rid of terms or variables that I don't want. So me personally, I would have got rid of the 50 first, then I would have got rid of the 30 here afterwards. If you start getting rid of the 30 first, that's going to get a little bit messy, because it's, you know, dividing by 30 here, I'll have to divide that by 30, that by 30. It just gets a little bit messy. So the order is quite important as well, which ones you get rid of. With a bit of practice, you'll get the hang of this, and you know, this is kind of like GCSE actually. So this is like basic algebra, which we do in GCSE all the time. Let's have a go at the next one. Hopefully it'll make more sense. Example 2, simplified formula to convert from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius is C equals F over 5 minus 16. Use this formula to convert 20 degrees C to degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so let me just write the formula. Okay, so we want to convert 20 degrees C, so we're replacing the C here with 20. Still got F, and still got that. Okay, so the only thing we replaced was the C, wasn't it? We want F on its own. Can you see F is the only one that's the only unknown variable, which we don't know. So we want to rearrange this to get F equal to something. So like before, I'm going to get rid of this minus 16. I don't like that being there. Yeah, because I want F on its own. So let's get rid of the minus 16 so that you do the opposite of what it actually is. So I need to add 16 here. That'll get rid of it here. If you add 16 to this side, I'll have to add 16 to the other side of the equal sign. That gives us, altogether we'll get 36 on that side. And we still got F over 5. Yeah, because that minus 16 is gone now. There's only one more step to get F on its own. We've got F divided by 5. So I don't want that divided by 5. So to get rid of it, again, you do the opposite of what it actually is. So divide by 5, the opposite of that is times by 5. And I'll have to times by 5 on the other side as well. What you're left with is F on its own, and 36 times by 5 on the other side. So 36 times by 5 is 180. Yep, and that's going to be your answer in degrees Fahrenheit. So again, a little bit weird, but you know, it will cancel each other out. Basically, you know, when you do times by 5, let me actually write it here. This 5 right here cancels with that 5. Yep, so if you think of it like that, they cancel each other out, disappears, you're just left with F on its own. Yep. So always think of the opposite, what it actually is. To get rid of it, you do the opposite of what it actually is. Okay, and for me that works every single time. Well, let's have a look at the next one. The formula to find the perimeter P of a rectangle with sides of length A and B is P equal to 2 brackets A plus B. Perimeter of a rectangle is 34 centimeters. One of the sides is of length 7 centimeters. What is the length of the second side of the rectangle? So we're told that P is 34, A is 7. Okay, substitute into the formula to find the equation, right? So let's write this formula down. P equals 2 brackets A plus B. What can we replace? Well, we know that P is 34 and we're told that A is 7. Okay, so we don't know what B is, we don't know what the length is. So that's what we're trying to work out. We're trying to work out what B is. Let's get rid of, I would get rid of the 2 here first. Yeah. So again, don't forget, what does this 2 actually mean? This is multiplied by 2, isn't it? There's an invisible multiply sign here. So what's the opposite of times by 2? That is divide by 2. So if I divide by 2 here, I'll have to divide by 2 on the other side of the equal sign as well. So 34 divided by 2 is 17. That 2's gone now, so I'm left with just the brackets, which is 7 plus B. And, oh, there's only one more step. If I would just want B on its own, what's the opposite of adding 7? I'll have to take away 7 here. Yep, and if I take away 7 here, I'll have to take away 7 here as well. So 17 take away 7 is 10. And on this side, we just got b on its own. There's your answer. 10 equals b, or b equals 10. That's going to be in centimeters. So hopefully that made some sense. You know, for me, it's just, I've done these so many times, I've lost count. To get rid of it, you do the opposite of what it actually is. And it works, you know, it works every single time. If you stick to that rule, then it works. Have a go over the next ones yourself. And pause the video. And when you're ready, just unpause it and we'll go through the answers. Let's have a go over this first one then. So in questions 1 to 4, solve the following equations for n. Right, so they want n on its own. So again, I'm going to write what I'm doing to each side. So to get n on its own here, I'm going to get rid of the minus 20 first. So I'm going to have to plus 20 here. And therefore I'll have to plus 20 here as well. So on this side, I'll get 120 equals 30n. And to get n on its own, I'll have to divide by 30 here, divide by 30 here. So 120 divided by 30 is 4. And that's just going to be n on its own. So there's my answer. N equals 4. So that's the first one done. For number 2, I'll have to, let's get rid of the 10 here. So that's minus 10 here, minus 10 here. 450 take away 10 is 440. Still got this, still got this. Opposite of divide by 3 is times by 3. Again, I'll have to times by 3 here as well. 440 times by 3 is 1,320. I just get n on its own. There's my answer. N equals 1,320. Yep. Number 3. Let's get rid of the 90 here. So I'll have to take away 90 here, take away 90 here. 250 take away 90 is 160. Still got this. And the opposite of times by 20 is divide by 20. So that gives me 8 on this side. And just n, there's my answer. N equals 8. Number 4, I'll have to get rid of the minus 12, don't like that being there. So let's add 12 and add 12 here as well. 18 add 12 is 30. Still got this, still got this. And to get rid of the divide by 4, I'll have to times by 4. I'll have to times by 4 here as well. So that's 120 equals n. There's my answer. N equals 120. Question 5. The formula to work out the monthly cost C for a mobile phone is C equals 12 plus 0.09n, where n is the number of minutes of phone calls made in a month. The customer receives a bill of £40.80 for the month. How many minutes of phone calls did the customer make in a month? Okay, let's just write this formula down. Let's see what we have to do. Okay, so what we're replacing. So the bill is £40.80. Oh, so that's the C, right? So that goes there. Still got all of this, and we're trying to work out what n is, so that's still n for the time being. So we have to rearrange this to get n on its own. Let's get rid of the 12 here first, so I don't like that 12 being there. So after minus 12 here, and I'll have to minus 12 to the other side. 40.80 take away 12. That is, let me write it here, 28.8 equals 0.09 n. Okay. And I just want n on its own, so I'll have to divide by this because it's multiplying at the moment. So divide by 0.09 and divide by 0.09 here as well. So 28.8 divided by 0.09, that gives me 320 equals n. So my answer, n equals 320, and that's going to be in minutes. Yep, there's my answer. Question 6. Formula a building society uses to work out the interest I payable for a year when P pounds is invested is I equal to all of this. Customer receives £34.10 in interest for 1 year. How much money did he invest? Right, so I equals 0.062p. So what are we replacing? So we're replacing the interest with 34.10. Still got all of this. Yeah, don't forget there's an invisible multiply sign there. So there's only one step for this one. All you have to do is divide by, oops, I'll tell you what, let me do it in a different color because I like doing it in a different color. I'm going to divide by 0.062 to both sides. Yep, because that's going to get my P on its own here. Let's work this out on the calculator. 34.1 divided by 0.062. Oh, that gives me 550. There's my answer. P is, which is the how much he invested, £550. Question 7. The formula used to work out the person's body mass index, or BMI, is shown in the box, where W is the weight in kilograms, H is the height in meters. Athlete has a BMI of 24.8 and a height of 1.62 meters. What is the athlete's weight to the nearest kilogram? Ooh. So BMI is W over H squared. Ooh, bit of a different one this one. We've got a square in there. Right. So we're told that the BMI is this. So it's 24.8. What else are we told? Its height is 1.62, right? So we don't know what the weight is. That's what we're trying to work out. So I'll just keep that as W. H is 1.62 squared. Okay. Let's work that out first. In fact, let's do 1.62 squared. 1.62 squared is, okay, it looks a bit weird. Let's just go with it. On the calculator, it's 2.6244. Okay, so now to get rid of this, because I don't want to divide by 2.6244. I want W on its own. So I'll have to times by 2.6244. That'll get me W on its own. But I'll have to times by this side by 2.6244 as well. Okay, so let's do that. Times by 24.8. Wow, okay. So W equals, should get this on the calculator, 65.085 1, 2. To the nearest kilogram, that's going to be, there's my cutoff line. That's going to decide. So my answer is 65. That's going to be in kilograms. Yep, there's my answer. Last one before we do the exam questions. So question 8, the formula for the area A centimetre squared of a circle is A equals pi r squared, where pi is a constant, approximately equal to 3.14. R is the radius in centimetres. Area of the circle is 78.5 centimetres squared. What is its radius? So again, this does come up in level 2 as well, so hopefully you should be familiar with A equal to pi r squared. And if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to make a video on this very soon, if I haven't done so already. You know, when I do shapes and all that for level 2. What we're replacing, so we're going to replace, in fact, they want you to use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so area is 78.5. Let's replace that first. Pi is 3.14. We're trying to work out the radius. Okay, again, there's an invisible times sign here, by the way. Yeah, because it's side by side. So it's 3.14 times r squared. Okay, so we're trying to work out what r is, by the way. Let's rearrange this first. I'm not going to square root it yet. Let's get rid of 3.14 on this side. So I'm going to do the opposite of multiply by 3.14, which is divide by 3.14. That'll get rid of it on this side, and I'll have to do the same here as well. And let's do that on the calculator. So 78.5 divided by 3.14. Oh, that's exactly 25. Ah, I see where this is going. So if r squared is 25, then r will be the square root of 25, which is 5, and that's going to be in centimeters. Yep. So there's your answer, and hope you got the same. Okay, so the next section is to do with exam questions. So these are taken from past papers. So have a go of these yourself. I should say whether they're on the calculator paper or on the non-calculator paper. Pause the video, try it yourself, and when you're ready, unpause it. Let's go through the answers then, guys. So first one is taken from a calculator paper. Gabby wants to buy a flat. Cost of the flat is £175,000. Bank uses this formula to work out the mortgage Gabby can get. So M equals 4.625A. M is the mortgage, A is the annual income. Gabby has an annual income of £34,000. She'll have to pay a deposit for the flat. The deposit is the difference between the cost of the flat and the mortgage. Work out the deposit Gabby will have to pay. 3 marks. So let's use this formula first. That's what I would do. So M equals, let's write this down. M equals 4.625A. Yep. Again, hopefully you've noticed if it's side by side like this, there is an invisible multiplication sign there. Right, so what should we do first? So Gabby has an annual income of £34,000. So there you go. So there's A. A is the annual income. So I'm going to replace A with 34,000. So M equals 4.625 times 34,000. So if you didn't know that there was a invisible multiplication sign there, you know, you probably couldn't do this question, you know, so it is essential to know these little things. Let's type that in the calculator because this is on the calculate paper. So 4.625 times 34,000. That gives me 157,250. Okay, that's going to be in pounds. So we want the deposit though. This is not our final answer, is it? So the deposit is the difference between the cost of the flat and the mortgage. So the cost of the flat, there you go. So the cost of the flat is £175,000. Okay, so it's the difference between cost of the flat and the mortgage. So difference means you take away, don't you? So the mortgage is 157,250, and the cost of the flat is that. So 175, take away that. So this will be for the deposit. 175,000 minus this. Yep, so you always do the bigger one, take away the smaller one. So 175,000, take away that is 17750. Yep, that's going to be in pounds. Question 2. So again, this is taken from a calculate paper. Magda wants to compare population density of the two largest countries in the world. She can use this formula. K equals P over 2.59 M. K is the population density. Population is P. And M is the land area. Okay. Canada has a population density of 3.57 people per kilometre squared. Russia has a population of 143.96 million, a land area of 6.593 million square miles. Magda thinks that Russia has a greater population density than Canada. Is Magda correct? Show why you think this. So we've already got the population density of Canada. We just need to work out the population density of Russia, and then we can compare it with that. So to work out the population density, it's this formula right here. Yeah, so that's K, isn't it? So let's write this formula down. K equals P over what was it? 2.59 M. 2.59 M. Yep. So again, if they're side by side, here there's an invisible multiplication sign. Okay, so we're trying to work out what K is. So we need P and M. So P is the population, and that's in millions. So let's replace that. So that's going to be 143.96. Yep, and that's already in millions. And M is the land area. Again, that's a million square miles. So you just put this number, and that should be fine. So 2.59 times this number here, so 6.593. Yeah, let's just stick that in the calculator. This is a calculate paper, yeah, so I can just do that in one go. I'm going to use the fraction button. 143.96 at the top, at the bottom 2.59 times 6.593, and we get 8.43060998. That's what it should look like on your calculator. So that's going to be in kilometers squared, or people per kilometer squared, sorry. Yeah, that's the correct unit. So people per kilometer squared. And now we can compare it with Canada. So Magda thinks that Russia has a greater population density than Canada. And it does, yeah, because 8.43 is greater than. So we can say 8.43 is greater than 3.57. So she's correct. Yeah, there's your answer. 3 marks for that. So that's that one done. Next one's a non-calculator. So non-calculator exam question 3. Here's a formula. Find the value of h when a equals 10 and b equals 8, right? Okay. So I'm going to write the formula first. So h equals square root of a squared minus b squared in brackets. Okay. So I'm replacing the a with 10. That goes there. And b with 8. Non-calculator, so you're going to have to do this manually. So obviously using BidMass, let's do the brackets first. Now, inside the brackets I've got these two indices, so I'll keep that as it is, and let's just replace. So 10 squared is the same as 10 times 10, which is 100. 8 squared, 8 times 8, which is 64. Yep, hopefully you know that. And then square root of 100 take away 64, which is 36. So I just need the square root of 36, which is 6. There's my answer. Yep, so hopefully, you know, this is quite useful to know as well. If you know your squares, you should know your square roots as well. So if you don't know your squares, just go open your squares. What's 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, what are these equal to? Yeah, and just keep going in these. And if you know your square numbers, you'll know your square roots as well. So yeah, this is essential. Next one, oh, this is a calculator one, right? So calculator exam question 4. There are roadworks on a motorway. Average speed limit is 50 miles per hour. Car travels at a distance of 18 miles in 24 minutes. Is the average speed of the car less than 50 miles per hour? Show why you think this for 3 marks. So obviously to do with speed, let's write what we've got. So we know that the car travels at a distance of 18 miles. T is 24 minutes. Speed we don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to do it the quick way. Well, not the quick way. One of the ways I like to use. I know some people don't like it, but everyone's different, you know. So speed or sausages don't talk from left to right. So we're trying to work out speed. So I need to do distance divided by time, but don't forget your units, very important here. So because this is miles per hour, you need your time in hours. So this is in minutes. So this should be 24 out of 60, which is, let's do that on the calculator, because this isn't a calculator paper. It simplifies to, I'm going to press SD and I get 0.4, that's in hours. Yep, so now I can work out S, and that's now 18 divided by 0.4. Yep, let's do 18 divided by 0.4, and I get 45. That's going to be miles per hour. Yep, because I'm using hours now. So they said, is the average speed of the car less than 50? Yes, it is. So 45 is less than 50. So yes. Yep, it is less than 50 miles per hour. There's your proof. Could have used the ratio as well, but me personally, you know, everyone's different. Just use what you prefer. We'll use whatever works, to be honest. As long as you get the right answer, that's the main thing. Next one, calculate exam question 5. Lucia is driving to a meeting. She needs to drive for 58 miles on the motorway. The maximum speed limit on the motorway is 70 miles per hour. Lucia will not drive over the speed limit. Work out the minimum time Lucia will spend driving on the motorway. Give your answer correct to the nearest minute. Okay, so we know that the distance is 58 miles. Okay, speed limit is 70 miles per hour. Okay, let's write that as our speed then. Okay, and it's talking about time. We don't know what that is. Yeah, so these two things we do know. Again, I'm going to do my speed triangle. Sausages don't talk. I'm trying to work out the time. So I'm doing D over S. And I don't need to change anything. So that's 58 over 70. Let's do that on the calculator. 58 divided by 70 is... Oh, yeah, okay, that looks weird. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to write what it is first. This is in hours. Whatever this answer is. Yeah, because they're using miles per hour. Okay, so let's change it to minutes because you want the answer in minutes. Let's times it by 60. So if we times by 60 on the calculator, oh yeah, that's a bit better, right? So I get 49.714285. It's recurring decimal as well, but let's just leave it as that. So this is now in minutes. Yep. So to the nearest minute, that's going to be... This is going to be my key digit. So that's going to make it go up to 50 minutes. Yep. So my answer... Oops. Let's do it in the correct colour. 50 minutes. Yep, that's your 3 marks right there. Oh, that was the last one. So, I hope you found that useful. And, you know, if you did, please give me a like. Give me subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And, you know, do make any suggestions. If there is any video that you want me to make, you know, do write in the comments below. And I shall see you in the next one.